So now we've looked at the setup and the configuration of the Rohde and Schwarz ETL TV analyzer. Now I'd like to show you one of the features, optional features of the ETL, and that's the MPEG monitoring and analysis section. First thing that you want to do is hit the mode button and then select TV Analyzer. Once you select TV Analyzer, it will load up the analyzing software. At this point, I like to operate the ETL with a mouse. So any USB standard mouse, you can just select in the front of the unit, and it'll automatically configure that. The next thing, to ensure that I'm operating and measuring on the right standard, I want to come up to File, New Site Configuration, and change the site configuration to either DVB, ATSC, or SCTE, depending on what I am doing. Since we're talking predominantly about broadcast, I'm going to be selecting ATSC. Confirming OK as I go through there, and then it'll load up. The next thing that I want to do is make sure that I have a signal input. So I'm going to go into Analyzer Configuration and come up with the configure the TS analyzer as far as the input. Now the ETL does have two inputs. The first input will come standard with the option. The second is another option that you can get to have an external ASI feed on the rear of the unit. So as you can see here, I'm set up to ASI internal, that is demodulating the RF from the 50 ohm input, which we talked about earlier. And now I'm also going into, on the second one, is the external, which is the ASI input on the rear of the unit, which I'm not going to be using in this case. Making sure that it's all set up for ATSC, and then selecting OK, Apply, and then OK. So now I'm ready to start my measurements. The first thing that comes up, the standard window, is an overview of my pi, or how much of the bandwidth that I'm using. And you can see here, it'll actually show you your nulls and any programs. And since the transport stream, or the program that I'm looking at right now, is a high definition program, there's only one service in there. I can also come in and actually look at the transport tree. This will show me all of the PIDs within the transport stream, to including the video PID and also the audio PIDs. Null packets, I can go in and look at my event information table, and I can go in and look at PSIP specific information, predominantly the master guide table, which lists all the other tables within the PSIP area. Moving on, I can look at the monitoring of there, and you'll notice here I have a lot of yellow dots on the screen, which are basically showing that I've had errors in these particular areas, but there's not an active error now. This is from when I first set the unit up. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into the control, which is on the right hand side top of your screen, and clear statistics and log. This will reset all of the measurements and all the log, and I'll come up with a total 0 errors, as long as there are no errors within my transport stream. I can also select the type of log that I would like to run, either a transition from errors or a continuous. Every time it pulls, it will put up an error. I actually like to use transition because there's less reports or less log entries. I can then also come down and look at this area here. I can look at the log itself. Since I've cleared the log, there's not a whole lot of information that we can see from this. With this error log, I can have this running for the matter of minutes or days, depending on what my requirements are. But then I can also export this log to save the log as either a USB or an external hard drive or a network drive if I have the ETL networked. I can save the location there. It actually saves as a CSV file that I could pull that up into Excel and manipulate it any way I wish for report purposes. Also here, I can also look at the bit rates. Now, this is just showing me the primary bit rates of the transport stream, my PSIP, and my service, and any null packets that I have in the system. If I want to expand this view and actually look at all of the bit rates of all the PIDs, I can select the soft key Expand View. Now, when I hit that key, it'll actually show me all of the PID bit rates within my transport stream. And you can see here that there's quite a few of them. And this may vary depending on what your transport stream is. I can actually set a hold, so it'll stop wherever it is right there, or continue on there. I can also reset min and max values, which it'll start populating the fields again as it receives the PIDs. I can also look at the table repetition